welcome to another episode of the Solo Pod. This episode's pretty special because I'm about to let you in on one of my biggest secrets. This has changed my life. I've been able to pivot several careers. I think like 4 now is what I'm on the track record for because of this strategy. Every day before I get out of bed, I cold message 2 people that I admire. It never takes me more than 5 minutes. I will literally be hungover on a Saturday morning, going out all night, and I will be sending these cold DMs like a crazy person. That is how important to me. It's more important to me than when I brush my teeth in the morning. I will literally do this before I do anything. You know what it's gotten me? It's gotten me 4 internships, 1 full-time PM job, my first investor in my business. I got a self-made female billionaire to fly me out to her private office off a cold message. I had Nike invite me to an exclusive founder retreat fully sponsored. I made 5 new best friends. I got my first 5-figure brand deal. This is all through cold messaging. So that's what this episode's going to be about. I'm going to share with you how this is going to change your life and how you're going to create this as a daily habit, and you're going to unlock all these crazy life-changing opportunities. And it's not as simple as just sending a message. There is a whole strategy behind it, and I'm going to let you in on all the tea. I've been doing this for so many years. I've been doing this since I was literally a freshman in college. Like, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago that was because you're going to think I'm really old, but I'm telling you, this is the timeless hack of all time. This is going to work literally when we have like phones are going to be like the size of a microchip. That's literally, this strategy is going to still be relevant. So why does this work? I think that's probably what you're wondering right now. Why is this so powerful? If you've ever heard of the law of large numbers, the law of large numbers states that the more you do something, the higher the likelihood, the higher the probability of something happening. Imagine if I'm sending 2 cold DMs every single day, 365 days in a year, times 2, I'm literally sending over 700 messages a year. That's a lot of messages, especially because you're going to be doing this every morning. It's only going to take a few minutes. You're not even going to feel like this is like actually any sort of intentional work that's taking away from your day-to-day. And the law of large numbers states that the likelihood and the probability of something happening increases the more you do it. So imagine if you send 700 messages a year, what are the chances that one of them respond to you? And think about this. Imagine if all the cold messages you send are to people that you look up to, celebrities, super successful businesswomen or men, like super successful people that you're inspired by, creators you're really inspired by, people with millions of, like at some point, one of them is going to respond to you and you can have your ask ready and it can change your life. But how do you actually write one? How do you actually write one that works, right? You can send these 700 messages, but if it's a bad cold message, it's not going to work. No one's going to respond to it. The other thing that's really important is knowing when to actually tweak it depending upon who you're messaging. The way that makes this process super efficient is if you have some sort of template that you can grab every morning. So you can kind of do this literally like half asleep before you even get out of bed without using much like brain functionality. Like it's because you're copy pasting a template. So the key to this is actually having 2 to 3 standard templates and defining a user persona of the type of person that could possibly change the trajectory of your career or whatever it is that you're pursuing in that moment. What I like to do is I like to come up with a few personas. The 3 personas that I like to suggest for everyone, and obviously this persona is going to look different for you depending on what your goals are, but think about someone who you could learn from. Write it down, describe it. So someone for me that I could learn from is potentially another founder, another creator is someone I could learn from, an investor or like a businesswoman is someone I could learn from. It doesn't have to be so specific, but there should be a standard template for someone that you're trying to learn from. The people that are going to go out of your way to give you that job referral, that are going to call you up when that opportunity comes and think of you, are not going to be people you met once or you've sent a cold message to. They're going to be your friends. So it's really, really important that you make friends with other ambitious people who have the things that you want in your career or are similarly like-minded and are also going for that too. So how do you meet these people? Like, I never had those friends to begin with. I had to create those friends, and I actually made those friends through also cold messaging. So the 3rd template is someone who I could get money from. We all know that we need money to live, whether it's through a job, whether it's an investor for your business, whether it's a customer who's going to buy your product. This 3rd template is for the person that can actually give you money. So I have these 3 types of people that I want to reach out to every day, and then I have 3 different templates. for what I would do. I have actually all these templates available for you for free in my link in bio if you want to go check it out. But honestly, it's really just few simple rules for writing this message. It should be no more than 3 lines. Like anything after that, like they're not going to read it. If you want to test to see like if your thing is too long or too short, literally send yourself an email and see if the email fits in like an iPhone. The second thing is you want to make sure that the intro line like sounds personal and sounds specific. And the reality of the situation is that especially if you're using templated messaging, if you're doing this in like a mass amount, like how are you going to personalize the message for every single person? Like that would just slow you down. And it's really important that you don't personalize the message for every single person, because if you're slowed down in this process by any means, you're not going to actually tap into the law of large numbers. Like this process, this only works if you're sending to literally hundreds of people every month. Like it's not going to work if you do it in a small capacity. Now that I've gone on this big old tangent, let's go back to how we actually write these messages. The way you want to write these messages is you start your first line with something personal. Remember, we made 3 personas of someone we can learn from, someone we want to be friends with, and someone we can get money from. So you can say something that feels personal even within that like persona and template. So for example, let's say it's someone I could learn from. The first line could be, hey, I'm super inspired by your journey and I really feel like I could learn from you to help advance my goal of X. See how that's super specific? It feels like you actually, when they read the message, it feels like you actually spend time scrolling through their page, following them forever. And then you say, hey, I feel like I could learn from you to help them the goal of X. It feels like you've thought intentionally about the actual value that they can have in your life and how they can actually teach you things. So once you do that, then you kind of want to talk about yourself in one line. How you talk about yourself is really important. You don't want to send like a whole paragraph. I went to this school, I have this job, I live in this city, I have 5 siblings. Like, no, we don't need to go into that much detail. Say one thing about yourself, one memorable thing. If you were given 5 seconds and you wanted to make a first impression to someone, what would you say? What's the greatest thing you've done in your life? What is the most interesting accomplishment you have? And then what I want you to do is I want you to describe it in a number. I don't want you to say, hey, I won this award at a pitch competition, or like I won a pitch competition. You say, no, I won $25,000 at the #1 business pitch competition in my city. See how that's like incredibly more specific. Or you want to say, hey, like I've been a content creator for over 3 years and I've almost hit 100,000 followers. I'm putting a number to my accomplishment, right? So make sure that whatever it is, there's a number behind it, and don't talk about yourself for more than one line, but be incredibly specific and direct. You want to make sure that they're impressed by you. And then the end of that whole message, you want to make sure you have an ask. You want to make sure you say something along the lines of, are you free this week for a quick 15-minute chat? You want to like lead with something that's very specific, that they feel like they can very easily respond with like some sort of action item. Either, yes, here's my calendar, or like, yes, I'm free on Monday. And then you can very quickly take that cold message into something like actionable. One thing that's really important about this is like developing a habit, developing a routine for you to send those messages. Think about what is optimized for you to develop that habit, because you're not going to happen upon a lucky situation that could change your life in the ways that I've described that has changed mine, unless you're actually building a muscle, building a habit, and you're doing it in like mass quantities. And sitting down one weekend and trying to like send 1,000 messages is like a terrible way to go about this, because the reality of the situation is you want to increase your surface area for luck across the year, right? Like the world moves very fast, like new things happen, like a lot of the times like social algorithms change, especially if you're going to maybe not DM them on a social media platform, maybe you're going to email them. Whatever it is, you want to also play with this idea of not just getting lucky that they see your message, but getting lucky with timing. So getting lucky on like 2 different axes. So sitting down one weekend and like putting thousands of messages out in the world and then not doing that for another 6 months is like not the way. The other thing that I find incredibly interesting through this process that I actually believe is critical to people actually responding to that message once they see it, right? Because first you have to get lucky that they see the message. Then you have to get another round of lucky because they actually have to want to respond to you. So one thing that has really worked for me, and I just don't think the strategy works unless you do it, is really focus on building your personal brand. Wherever you're sending those messages, that's where you invest in building your personal brand. Because the likelihood of the situation is the person that's impressive to you, the person who's your role model, is probably getting tons of DMs. And so they're probably maybe every few months like hiring a VA to go through those messages, or they're sitting down and going through those messages. When they're selecting the people that they want to respond back to and give a chance, they're going to their profiles and they're looking to think about what are they interested in? What topics have they posted about? You know, where do they work? Are they interesting to me? Do they align with my industry? They want to know things about you, and they want to see if you're in any sort of capacity related to them. But it doesn't stop there. Oftentimes they say, okay, could be interesting, and they close out the message and then they don't do anything about it. But what happens is if you have a really solid personal brand and you're continuously posting, then what's going to be likely is that you're going to continue to appear in their feed and being top of mind. And one day you're going to get their attention and be like, I remember she sent me a message. I should respond now because I just saw her post this thing and I feel like that's actually interesting. I've been thinking about something similar. I think I want to talk to her now. So by continuously posting content and being top of mind and being on people's social feeds and the social platform that you're DMing, you're increasing the probability of that lucky situation happening. Let me tell you a story. So I actually messaged this guy who sold his media company, and I was really inspired by his story because I'm currently on that journey right now. And I was like, messaged him, hey, like would love to chat. I didn't really know what I was going to learn from him. This was like part of my user persona of like someone I could learn from. But I just felt like I could learn something from him. Like he probably would give me some insight. So I was like, hey, like I would love to grab coffee with you. Like I'll drive to you. Like I'll come to you, whatever. He said, sure, like sounds good. And then I responded back with like, here are the times I'm free. Like when are you free? And he ghosted me. Like he didn't respond to me. And I was like, okay, this is just like one of the shots I took that I missed. Whatever, we keep cold messaging, we keep posting content and improving our personal brand. And I kept posting. And because I had chatted with him, the algorithm learned and understood that we were friends. And so I was actually appearing on his feed now. And then 5 months later, he messages me, hey, I'm sorry I missed this. Let's actually get coffee. By the way, I have an opportunity for you. My best guess of what happened was he basically had this opportunity landed to him. And he was probably asked, hey, can you invite someone? And considering this is like a founder retreat sponsored by Nike, there weren't a lot of women on the roster. So he was probably like asked to find a woman specifically. And because I messaged him 4 months ago, and because I kept appearing in his feed, I was the first person he thought of for that opportunity. And on this trip, by the way, there were founders worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, I don't think I should have been invited there. This is going to be a whole other pod talking about like what happened, all the crazy shit that happened on that trip, the people I met, the people that I got connected to afterwards, the things that have happened to my business because of it. Like I promise I'll make an entire other solo pod on that. Like it's going to take me like an hour to debrief. I think it was the most life-changing weekend of my life. One thing you want to think about is there's this common like phrase, which is the sale is in the follow-up. And kind of what they're saying is like oftentimes people are not going to respond to you in the first email or the first message, but if you follow up a second or third time, that's when they see, okay, she's actually really like enthusiastic about meeting me. She's really like actually inspired. She's not just randomly sending messages like I should give her some of my time. So they say the sale is in the follow-up. You always want to follow up. And there's a lot of like software tools you can use to automate this. So for example, if you're doing emails, something like Rocket Reach or Apollo where you can scrape emails and you can kind of do this like pretty quickly, takes a couple minutes to like, you can literally do it like, I want to meet like all the like product managers at like tech companies. And then you can literally go into these softwares and like put those details, and then you can literally scrape an email list of all the product managers of all the tech companies. And then you can like schedule these on softwares like Woodpecker. Woodpecker is just an example. There's many of these where you can send all these emails out from there. It's the same amount of work. It's still the template and you drop the email, but then you can kind of write this automation, which says after a week, like send a follow-up saying, hey, like would still really love to chat, or like some quick line like that. And you'll see that you'll get like a lot more responses to that process. So depending upon who this persona is, I actually cater whether I DM them versus I email them. So for example, if it's someone I want to be friends with, I'm like probably not going to email them. That's like a little cringe. But if it's someone I want money from, it's a little bit more of a formal interaction, then I'll actually get their email and then like do the follow-ups. Versus it's someone I want to learn from. The likelihood of my ask being very specific is low. It's going to be something like, I just want to learn from you, just want to chat with you real quick, right? So it's a much harder sale to get them to respond to you. So DMing them on a social platform so I can use my personal content and like my personal brand and the feed and to actually impress them and get them intrigued and curious about me. It really just like depends on like what strategy works best. But if you are emailing, there's a lot of tools and software tools that you should use to like maximize and automate the process so you can get a lot more from the work you're putting into doing those emails. The last thing I want to talk about is, yes, I send cold messages all year and like 99% of these people never respond back to me. Like I never hear from them and it's fine. I don't think about it. But sometimes there's someone who I'm low-key like hella fangirl, super obsessed with, or someone I know is like the perfect person for my business. Like I have to meet them. I just like have to talk to them. And the way you're going to play the numbers game here is going to be by messaging them like just a lot. Every single person that I have been like crazy like DMing and like have aggressively pursued, every single one of them has gotten back to me. I don't care how big this person is. If you try hard enough, you can reach anyone in the world. So the reality situation is like a lot of people are going to message like famous, successful people, but very few, I would argue like top 1% are going to go through the lens that I'm about to describe to you of like how to actually reach them. So besides the fact that you want to just like stalk them and learn everything about it and make the message super personal specific and email them and DM them on like literally every platform, you want to like reference multiple unique things about them that you think the average fan would not know. So you'd have to like really dig deep into like learn things about them. And then you want to keep sending them messages and keep referencing new and unique things about them in every one of those messages. The last thing that's really, really important is think about how you can actually give value back to them. And I really, truly believe that anyone can give value to anyone. Like, do not be that person who sits there and be like, well, what value can I bring? Like, I don't have anything or I don't know anything. You can always come up with something. If they were like a creator or maybe they weren't selling your product, I would like promote them online. Like, I would literally like make posts like, I think this person is super cool for XYZ reason. By the way, she just posted this thing that I really liked, and I would just constantly post and talk about them online. I would engage on all their content. I would try to be like their pinned comment. I would try to like post on everything. Do whatever it takes to notice them. I have to say there are a little bit more than few girls who have kind of done this with me, and we have full on conversations. I literally give them like free career advice all the time. We talk. I've met several of them. We've had lunch together. I'm friends with any of them. Like, trust me, like the strategy works. As someone who gets like hundreds of messages a day on all my platforms, and I don't respond to any of them because I literally need to like run my business and be a human. If someone is going to go above and beyond, reference super unique things about me, and is going to message me on multiple platforms, I'm going to notice that, and I'm going to feel just a tremendous amount of guilt if I don't respond to them. I will respond to them. So trust me, I'm like, just like anyone else, like they will also react the same way. This is very similar to how I got that billionaire to fly me out for a private meeting, because I literally messaged her on like I was obsessed with her. Like I was like, she is the woman of our time. Like she's the coolest person in the world. I think there are like less than 20 self-made female billionaires, and like she's one of them. And I'm not going to say who she is here. Maybe I release another pod and actually go into the tea of that. That's also another crazy wild story of like what that trip happened to be and how that helped me. But it basically worked with her because I was able to find a way to give her value back, right? I said, hey, I have this company called Genshi. We have hundreds of thousands of women all around the world that read our content and watch our content. And I linked it back to an initiative that she was starting at the time and talked about how my company could offer her side hustle value. That's the funny thing. Even a billionaire, even someone with that much power and that much money, has side hustles, and oftentimes those are new things and that they're very different from the field that they're currently in. And I actually had some value to give to her. So she flew me out, and that's how I met her, and I think I spent like 6 hours with her or something crazy. And she put me up in a hotel and all this stuff. Like it was also, I know I said the founder retreat was life-changing, but like this was even more life-changing. Like I can't even like believe this even happened to me. But at the end of the day, I think my message is really just one, which is, you know, all these like nuances of like what you say and when you say it and how you say it, these are just nuances. The sure shot way to optimize here and to make sure you come out of this with similar life-changing opportunities as I did is just do it a lot. Just do so many that you have to get lucky in this space. Like you've done so much that luck is just like surrounding you. And that is truly my best advice about this is we underplay how giving people are, and we underplay how just one word or one thing could spark joy in someone else, and they might be touched by even a compliment that you message them and message you back and invite you to something that you could meet someone there that could truly change your life. So I just really want you to think about that. Like whoever you are, whatever stage, whatever your goals are, whatever industry, any facet of your life, this advice is relevant. This is timeless. This is timeless across any decade of time. No matter how technology changes, this is going to be relevant. So what are you doing continuously watching me? Close this pod, start sending your cold DMs. You can grab my template in my link in bio if you're interested in copying that. I made that for you to get you started, and I wish you guys all the best of luck through this process. And if something crazy comes from your cold DM, message me. I would love to feature you on the pod.